What up, y'all? Welcome back. You already know what it is. It's not a podcast. It's just my thoughts with Rob Markman. I had a random thought today. I just wanted to share it with y'all. I want y'all to like, subscribe, comment, do all that. Also, I have memberships now, so definitely hit the join button. There's a join button somewhere in there in the description. I put the link. If you want to join the community, at the community level, it's $2.99 a month. You get certain badges and priority. You know, me responding to your comments with priority. And then there's the monthly music club membership level. Basically, it's a book club, but for music. Every month, we're going to pick an album. I'll announce what the album for August is. And we're going to have a live stream where we discuss the album just for members only, and a Discord where we could talk about the album throughout the month, plus some other cool stuff. So check it out if you're interested, for sure. So yeah, I had this thought. I'm not going to tell you how I got there because it's going to distract. The way my mind works is crazy. How I got here isn't important. But I was thinking about the notorious B.I.G. lyric from Juicy. Remember rapping Duke, the hard, you never thought that hip hop would take this far. And I asked myself, is this the greatest rap lyric ever? And for me, it's yes. For me, if there was one rap lyric that just, it's that one. And look, I'm not talking about wordplay, slick metaphors, double entendres, triple entendres. All of that is subjective. Like, I get it, and how rap has continued to evolve. There are iller lines than this, but to me, I find myself constantly going back to this particular lyric. You never thought that hip hop would take this far. Part of it is because I'm from an era where, I remember when they said hip hop was a fad. It wasn't real music. It wasn't gonna last. It was just a trend. Rap is crap. Like all of this stuff. And so the first part of that lyric, remember Rapping Duke, the hard. Rapping Duke was a song in the 80s, in 84, I believe, made by Sean Brown. And it was a novelty song. It was a joke song where this guy, Sean Brown, is rapping in the voice of John Wayne, who was a popular country western actor. And John Wayne's nickname was the Duke. And so he's rapping as the Duke, rapping Duke. And he's just like making fun of rap, making fun of other rappers. Oh, your rap is this, partner. Your rap ain't as good as mine, and da-da-da. And the song took off. Like, the song was like a minor hit. And in the early days of hip hop, I can imagine. I was young at the time, so I don't remember, but I can imagine that folks who were super serious into hip hop didn't take that song super seriously. It was a novelty song. It was a fad. So it fueled into that thought that hip hop wasn't a real thing. And you got to imagine Biggie comes out with Juicy 10 years later. Remember Rapping Duke, the hard, you never thought that hip hop would take it this far. Just from 84 to 94, the ceiling had raised for hip hop. And then I just think about how the ceiling continually raises. So one thing I'm going to ask y'all to do in the comments is go in these comments and think about the moments when you said to yourself, because I find myself saying it a lot. Damn, never thought that hip hop would take it this far. Like when I accomplish something, like, my career was established in hip hop. And when I do stuff outside of music, if I write a comic book for Marvel or for DC, I'm going as my hip hop self. I'm speaking next week at the Mill Summit in Delaware. I'm going as my hip hop self. I've been a guest on like CNN, a couple of years ago. I go as my hip hop self. I've been on MSNBC. I go as my hip hop self. Like I don't have to switch up. I was just on the New York Times podcast, last week. I went as my hip hop self. And then I just think about certain things. I think about the Obama election and how much hip hop mobilized at that juncture in time. You even see it now, even though this ain't the prettiest examples, but you see it in this election, Trump aligning himself with certain rappers like Chef G, or Lil Pump, or hip hop adjacent rappers. I guess I don't know where to or what to do with Lil Pump. Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris with Megan Thee Stallion and Quavo. And, I definitely have thoughts around that. There's definitely like, word, this is what we doing. But it's also like these candidates, this is what they feel like they have to do. They have to surround themselves with hip hop to capture that vote. The Obama thing the Obama election, it felt a little more pure. Now a lot of it seems like a show, but still, again, this was a music that people said wasn't going to last, was gonna be a fad, and now I turn on CNN, I see hip hop all the time. Who would ever thought that hip hop would take it this far? We see things like, I'm old enough to remember Public Enemy, Fight the Power, how that became a song and mobilized people to get out in the streets and really fight, and that became an anthem. I remember the Dead Prez era in the early 2000s when Dead Prez, through their music, were able to mobilize people. Even more recently, Kendrick Lamar's All Right becoming an anthem in 2020 when people are out there putting their lives and their bodies on the line for human rights, for black rights. Then you go to the more commercial side of things, right? Like Jay-Z is a billionaire. Dr. Dre's Beeps by Dre deal makes him a billionaire. Rihanna becomes a billionaire over Savage Fenty. Like, she's like Rihanna, though she doesn't rap, right? She's hip hop adjacent. She is definitely part of our culture, right? She was heralded into the game by Jay-Z, and has a company that like rivals Victoria's Secret, which is like crazy, right? Whoever thought that hip hop would take this far. Will Smith went from boycotting the Grammys because they wouldn't put the rap portion of the award on television, to being one of Hollywood's most iconic actors, all right? Queen Latifah and all she's done, man, one of our most revered MCs, and what she's been able to do in Hollywood. Hip hop's being taught on college campuses. You think about folks like Pharrell as the head of Louis Vuitton, or rest in peace Virgil, or even Ye, folks who have been able to go into these large European fashion houses who once shunned us, and being able to design and set their mark, right? Us being front row at these fashion shows. You look at somebody like Dapper Dan, who, they called it counterfeiting and bootlegging when Dapper Dan would take the Gucci fabrics, the Louis fabrics, and remix it into something that we would wear. Now they have to do business with Dan. And it's not just about acceptance, right? These are spots that we rightfully earn because we shift culture. Our ideas, our creativity shifts culture. Hamilton being on Broadway. I remember when I first saw Hamilton, and the Mobb Deep references and the LL references and all the hip hop references on Broadway is crazy. How hip hop has changed the English language. Bling is in the dictionary. When we end up questions on Jeopardy, the global reach. Snoop Dogg just last week, Snoop Dogg carrying the Olympic torch in Paris. Snoop motherfucking Dogg. Murder was the case. Snoop Dogg. Like, if you would have told me in 93 in Doggy Style and Murder was the case, and this era of Snoop, that, hey, man, this guy's going to carry the Olympic torch and represent America in the Olympics, I'd have told you was fucking crazy. Who would have thought that hip hop would take it this far? Straight out of Compton in the movie theaters. Jay-Z, I remember, the Barclays Center, man, the bringing the Nets to Brooklyn and then opening an arena. I remember thinking that whole time I was there, the first show ever in Barclays Center, the first event ever in Barclays Center was a Jay-Z concert, and they hung a banner for Biggie. It says Big. If you ever been to the Barclays Center, in the rafters it says Big 72, based off the year he was born. And I remember, like, man, Big was supposed to be here, man. Big's life was cut way too short. But I remember thinking that night, you never thought that hip hop would take it this far. The Barclays is maybe a 10, 15-minute walk at max away from the block where Big grew up. Big was a big guy, so it might have took him 15 minutes to walk. He walked slow. But I say all that to say, like, I always find myself repeating that lyric every time I turn around to see how far we come. Some of y'all, if y'all younger, I may take it for granted because when you grew up, hip hop was already big and a global phenomenon. But if you come from my generation, I still marvel at the things we're able to do, which I always knew we could do, right? But that the world said we couldn't, the spaces that the world said we couldn't occupy, that this music wouldn't last. So that's my reasoning. That's my argument for saying the greatest hip hop lyric ever is Biggie from Juicy. You never thought that hip hop would take it this far. You could disagree with me. If you have other ideas, I'd love to hear it. But hit me in the comments and let me know the moments when you've thought that to yourself, or let me know if you think there's a better, bigger, more fitting lyric than this. But I'm standing on that, all right? Peace.